everybody, and welcome once again to TV3 and our Spartan Sports Report. Sam and I are happy to welcome back. He's been gone for a while, the athletics director at CHS.
Happy to be back.
Glad to have you.
Well, certainly.
It'd be nice if we get somebody fill in every week because they got more important things to talk about.
We got important things to ask you.
No, you're the head guest, whether or not you like it or not. So, anyway, you've got some news for us, Brent, Duncan, about this week's Lady Spartan home opener.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, we had to move it to Saturday. JV will start at noon due to the fact that Mount Vernon's boys football team won the sectional last Friday night. Mm-hmm. And Brandon called me on Sunday and asked if we have the possibility of possibly moving the game to Saturday so their kids all had an opportunity to go to the regional football game Friday night. So got all 4 of my 5 officials said yes, so we had to scrounge and they picked up a third one, so we're all set to go. And the JV will tip off at noon. The varsity will be about 1:30 on Saturday.
Well, we have Saturday games every so often during the season. So.
Yeah, and the reason why we went to Saturday afternoon, typically I'd prefer night, but our coaches had already planned to go scouting that night.
Sure.
So you don't want to change everybody's plans from that standpoint. So we'll start at tip-off at noon on Saturday at the Bowl.
Sam, you were joined by Brent at some basketball games for the Lady Spartans, and I'd like to get your guys' report on New Palestine, and Decatur Central, and Indianapolis Ritter.
Opening night at New Pal, opening night jitters, I think some of what we
yes,
saw.
That's to be expected.
New system, new coach, but girls played hard. Tough schedule to start with. New Pal,
really?
Decatur Central, Ritter, and Mount Vernon coming up this Saturday. That's a meat grinder right there. But on Saturday, big improvement I thought against Decatur Central. They're getting used to playing man-to-man, and they just seem to want it and seem to hustle more. That afternoon, and only had a couple hour, about 3-hour turnaround.
Sure.
Come out and play Ritter, and really couldn't prepare for them that much. But I thought they played hard once again and really cut down on the turnovers. Went after the loose balls, and I just think we're headed in the right direction. That Coach Harder doing a nice job. I like her demeanor on the sideline as well, and I put that out there that she is constantly teaching them.
Yes.
While she's on the sideline. So I think that once the girls get used to playing man, and as they get more experience, and it may not be, we may not see a whole lot this year. We will see continued improvement, but as time goes on, that we're going to see improvement in these young girls.
Brent, what was your reaction from the weekend?
Well, I saw the New Pal game, and obviously it was a struggle to start with. I saw some positive things out of the girls as far as trying to run a motion-type offense after they've kind of been in a pattern a little bit. And obviously learning the mechanics and the ideas of playing man-to-man, where help side is and where ball relationship to you should be compared to your person is on the floor. Those are things that will get better because they've not done it for a long time, because we've been typically a 2-3 matchup zone, all the way back to Larry Miller's days. And so it's a little different change of pace, terminology, where they need to be, how they put their head on a swivel, see their man, their woman and their ball, or whatever you want to say. And then Saturday, unfortunately, I didn't get to see. I worked the volleyball state finals at Ball State for the IHSA, so got to watch volleyball all day on Saturday. So, but talking to Coach Harder this morning and yesterday, she was pleased. I know she's not pleased that we didn't win, but she thought Cardinal Ritter was a little tougher than Decatur Central, and that we played better against Cardinal Ritter. And she sees improvement out of the girls and their offensive movement and their comfort with the ball after being in not such a free-flowing offense over the last 20-some years. So it'll take time. Unfortunately, it may not show in wins, but the goal is to create an atmosphere back to where the Lady Spartans were back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and kind of get that rolling again. So hopefully with time and everybody's a little patient with her, and they can come and watch us play on Saturday and support the girls, because they're in there working hard every day. And I think the girls have been positive, and it kind of hurt that she got hired in late, so she didn't get a good summer with them. And I know she's got some plans for them already after the season's over once we get through that. So
They were held to 17 points by New Palestine, but went up to 30 against Decatur Central and 35 against Ritter. So it seems like they're on the right way. Their offense.
There's a lot of our score. I know Paige scored some last year, but we had some other girls around her, and right now we haven't found that person that can stick the ball in the basket consistently. A lot of them do not have a lot of varsity playing experience outside of Paige. At one time at New Pal, there were 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a junior on the floor. So it's hard to play, and I can tell you, New Pal's solid again. Their 6'3" girl, Reed, in the middle, Jordan, she's athletic. She's their football kicker on the football team.
Coach's daughter, she's good.
Gizzy's a little freshman and very aggressive, and you saw her brother play on the varsity team.
You're right.
I think his name's Adam or whatever it is, but they're both aggressive kids. So it's hard to teach aggression, but that's got to start from the bottom up. So once coach gets her hands into the mix with our youth kids and teach our kids that it's about playing hard consistently and for 32 minutes and not 10 or 12 or 15 or 10 seconds or whatever it is. So just a different style with playing man and what's expected out of it.
You know, I thought the girls on the team that Coach Harder was able to rotate and didn't lose anything. That all 8 of them that are in the rotation pretty much equal.
So the bench looks pretty good.
Yes.
Well, that's important, isn't it? The Brent have a
Yeah,
good
it'll be a
bench.
gret year to build some depth for us. You know, unfortunately, the last couple of years we've been a little thin at the lower levels, and we still don't have enough to a full freshman schedule. We're going to try to play some C teams, but getting all those younger kids some playing time and working on their skills and development. That confidence of being on the floor is a big part of it. So
Yes.
opportunities to get out there and learn how to play in front of a crowd. And you know, somebody said they played a little more relaxed Saturday because it wasn't such a big crowd at the shootout than it was at New Pal to start with. And not that New Pal was a large crowd, but you know, the shootouts are a little different. It's an all-day thing, and you're just there to watch your kids play. So
Wasn't as loud. Southport Fieldhouse is pretty good size, so people were spread out a little more there as well.
So
I just thought Southport was a tough gym to play in. I don't know why, but it just seemed that.
that's because we've been on the losing end twice when we've been there.
Okay.
That's why.
Maybe that's a good explanation. How the JV team look?
Well, they inexperienced, and they will get better also, but they just need more playing time. I think that what I saw them at New Pal, I didn't get to see them. I saw them in the morning session at Southport. They were playing in another gym.
Okay.
I didn't see the late afternoon anything at that time. They were going to play after us, and we decided to come on home.
Mount Vernon, I think, is 1-1 right now, and they play Thursday night. So I was thinking when we had a Friday game, maybe kids would be real tired Friday night from the Thursday game, but since they moved it Saturday, well, they'll have some rest.
Julie came back Shelton last year or 2 years ago, and there's been a change in their attitude a little bit. And her daughter's a pretty beefy young lady and pretty aggressive. And you know, when she was there before at Mount Vernon, they ran a very successful program, and she's back. So
She's one of the best coaches around.
I'm going to assume they're going to get back to where they used to be 2 or 3 years ago when she was there to start with. So
Yeah, she's very successful in the one-loss record, I know, in Indiana girls basketball. So
I always tell the story that our girls were ranked number 1. We had April McDivitt on the team. With preseason number 1, we go up there and we get a loss first right off the bat. That was our first game, and that continued for quite a while.
Really?
I mean, they are very disciplined and very well coached, very physical teams usually that Coach Shelton has.
Right. Coach, you talked about the reason the change is football regional. Have you been assigned yet your duties when finals day comes?
well, finals will be that first Friday after the Thanksgiving is the first.
It's 3 games
1, 3,
on
and
Friday
5 typically, and
3 on
2,
Saturday.
4, and 6 on Saturday. So
Okay.
we got a home boys game on Saturday, so we'll see what that leads to. But I'll probably be up there on Friday night. So do different things, whatever they ask. So.
Hand out medals.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's great. I got lucky this weekend. I got to hand the medals to I held the medals for the hanging guy for Cowan, who won the single A volleyball, and Suzanne, their athletic director, and I are good friends. So it was nice to be able to hand it to them. And then game 2, I got the pleasure of reading the Mental Attitude Award winner. Those are always great because that's always a good time for the school. And I'm waiting from Wapahani. And then game 3, I got to hand out the trophy. Unfortunately, it was the runner-up trophy, but it was kind of interesting. It was Brownstown Central had won that one, and they had been runners-up 7 times in their life, but had never won it. So back in the days of Muncie Burris with Don Shondell, they kind of dominated the volleyball world, and then I got to put the medals on the Newcastle Lady Trojans in the 4A.
Oh, good deal.
Good day for them.
Yeah, an exciting day.
So I don't know what I'll do yet to football, but I'll probably be there at least Friday, and
Right.
we'll see about Saturday.
Okay.
That part of the state, Henry and Delaware County represented pretty well then.
Well, Montana volleyball is pretty big, and that all did start back with the Burrs and the Shondells that was at Ball State, and they ran a pretty good program. Cowan's on the south side of Delaware County, and Wapanee's on the east, and Newcastle beat Yorktown, who's on the west side, to get to and I'm sure if Newcastle would have lost to Yorktown, Yorktown would have been there, and of course Belmont's not that too far away from Muncie either, so, but it's a good day all around.
Right. It's nice to have you representing Connersville at these state tournaments.
Well, it's important for our name, for our school and our
Sure.
community to be out there and people know about it. So we do a lot of good things for our kids, and we hope that continues. So
Boys basketball, on Monday of this week, the official start of practice around Indiana. Boys basketball has about 2.5 weeks of, what's that mean official? What can they do before the official practice date?
well, it depends on what time of the year it is. There's different rules now. There's limited contact times in the fall, and then again in the winter, and then again in the spring. And during those 6 to 7 weeks, you can actually practice 2 hours a day, 2 days a week with everything you got.
Okay.
And the other times you can run and lift weights and condition. But you can't have your bells and whistles out, so to speak. And then it starts back up in the winter, and then they're ready to go, and they'll do it again in the spring. So different seasons, different sports.
So can you have tryouts before the official date?
No. Everybody went yesterday, and I'm sure by today or tomorrow he'll have figured out who's on what team and where.
That's got to be a tough job, though.
I think it's gotten, how do I say this? It's probably gotten easier over the time because of the number of people that travel, and it seems to be self-weeding out happens a lot more than it used to be. I know when I got here in 1989, there'd be 120 kids trying out for middle school basketball. There's not 120 kids trying out for middle school basketball at this time. So I don't know if it's because of travel teams, or I didn't play on this team, or or I'm not better than this kid, or whatever it is, but it seems it weeds itself out of it. But we'll still have to make cuts, but it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, all those kids have the idea they want to play whatever sport it is, and unfortunately, if it's in a sport where you can't keep 100, there's always some tough calls.
It's got to be tough, too, with the parental units that everybody thinks their kid's the best. So sometimes that could maybe be difficult as well.
Well, you never know how they're going to react and how they're going to take it. And you hope to think it's in the best interest, and if you try to tell the young man or young lady, the reasons why you didn't make it, then they get an opportunity to come back and work on those things over the summer, or for whatever sport it happens to be. So, unfortunately, in some sports, we can't keep them all.
Right.
But we encourage them to get involved in lots of sports, and I think sometimes too many of our kids or families put their eggs in one basket, and then when that basket doesn't work out, they don't know what else to do with themselves. So we always got opportunities for them to do lots of other sports, or clubs or activities or whatever they want to be in.
Middle school basketball is underway. Tuesday they're opening at Newcastle. That's the red team. And Thursday they will be meeting Union County at 6 o'clock at Spartan Arena for their first home game. And the white team opens next Monday. So
It'd be always interesting to see how the new crop of people look coming in, whether it's the girls or the boys, or our wrestlers are getting ready to start again. And,
right.
So we'll see how good they come out to be.
These middle school boys have any official teams coming in, or are they just...
No, they're all middle school teams that we play. So
Okay,
it's just other
and
schools in middle school.
did these kids have any experience in organized basketball before the 7th grade?
I'd say some of them do. I won't say all of them do, but whether it's in the rec league or Coach Brown's Dirt Road Basketball League or on some travel team, I would say the majority of them probably have done something along the way, yeah.
Years ago, the elementary schools all had teams. Like Maplewood had a team, Eastview. What happened?
I don't know what happened. I sometimes think AAU happened. And then if you weren't on that hand-chosen AAU team, why would you think you're going to make the elementary team? So Just lack of interest at some point in time, or numbers, I should say. Of course, we've dwindled in numbers as a population, so
Right.
the Parks Department's kind of taken those over, and they'll have their rec league after Coach Brown has his dirt road league, and the girls rec Park Department league has already started last weekend. So
It's I think kids that can participate in Coach Brown's dirt road is that could be important for the future because his philosophy trickles down to that level.
well, I think it's any coaches, and I know Coach Harder wants to start one for our young ladies. It's just a matter of getting her in there, getting her feet wet, and finding time in the summertime to do that for her as well. But yeah, you hope that your coaches that you have will listen to what Coach Brown or Coach Harder or Coach Thompson in baseball, whatever it happens to be, listens to what they want to have done, because in the end, we're all Spartans trying to get to the same spot. And, as I told parents the other night, for 98% of us, sports is going to be terminal at the end of their high school careers, with the number of people that get to move on is very small. Out of I think I read 8 million high school players in just the United States playing high school sports. Forget those in the other countries that want to come here to play. So, and less than 2% of them are going to get any type of money to go to college or play. So it's a small number when you think about scholarships. So being well-rounded and doing the right things and being a part of the team is great. But yeah, having coaches with their philosophies and kids who want to follow what the coaches want to do in the program is a key important to turning everything around for all sports. So.
Can you explain why the interest in some of the sports is down?
I think so many people have specialized, and they only want to be a baseball player, they only want to be a soccer player, they only want to be a swimmer, or they only want to be a volleyball player. And then some of them are your better athletes, and then they don't go and do other sports. I don't know if that's the demand of the club coaches, putting pressure on them to be at their club sports. But if you listen to all the college recruits and,
Right.
and the NFL people and the Major League Scouts, they want well-rounded athletes, that's multi-sport athletes, and not just single-sport
Yes.
athletes. So even though as much as I tell that and people say that, I don't think everybody really believes that, because they're told by their club coaches that the only way to get looked at is go to all these combines, go to all these showcases, and that's not true. They'll find, if you're good, they don't find people in the Sudan and the Congo, because they're not traveling in those circles. If you're good, somebody will find you, and they'll come and look at you, I promise.
Build it and they will come.
So to speak, just like
Build your
baseball.
body.
See, how many years it was now? Baseball's going to play at the Field of Dreams next year in Iowa.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
Cool.
Saturday's game with the girls is the first of 2 straight games. They'll be home on the 22nd to play Centerville. Then they're back on the road in, Anderson and Union County.
yeah, it'd be nice if we could kind of get those squared away where we kind of balance a little more at the beginning. So one year we start everything on the road, and of course the shootout makes it a little bit different, because we would have been home this year against Cardinal Ritter already if we would have just stayed with them. So
Okay.
for next year the shootout, I believe, is at Decatur Central, and the year after that it's at our place. So in 2 years,
Oh.
those 4 schools will be coming here to play. So
Okay, so it's
gonna
We'll
rotate.
go on for a little while.
at least for 4, I think. So
That's good.
we'll get everybody a chance to rotate through the system one time. I just trying to figure out where Cardinal Ritter's second gym is, because it's not a very big gym when you go in there. So they got to have a place for the JV to play
You gotta have
someplace. So
Maybe downstairs in the
There might-
cafeteria.
there might be somewhere. So I've just not seen it. So I know the rest of us all have the capabilities of putting everybody in there relatively close. So
Is this something new in the basketball to have a shootout?
no, there's lots of them around the state.
Oh,
The
okay.
guy at Southport approached us last year on the weekend that we played Cardinal Ritter and asked if us and them would be interested in jumping in with them in Decatur Central and do something together. So we lost a couple on our schedule, so it opened up enough where we could pick up Decatur Central as one of the
good.
games. So we really only picked up one there because we already had Cardinal Ritter on the schedule. So
Worked out well. So.
yeah, it's kind of like the Wedding. Kerry plays in the Wedding.
Yes.
So you can play in a tournament, then you can play in more than one tournament, but the games in the other tournament count against your 20 other games you can play. So
Well, that's good that there are changes. Maybe the boys are going to have a shootout sometime.
well, you never know. I mean, you want to count the Phil Cox tournament in Kokomo as a shootout. I can't say for sure, but there's a little discussion of maybe the Newcastle game could actually be in Bankers Life, but I can't say for sure because I'm okay with that, but it's not my home game.
Okay.
So we've been asked.
It's good not to lose a home game.
Yeah, we've been asked by, we played Manual up there in Bankers Life a couple years ago, and there's 4 games, and they've asked if we might want to be the leadoff game that day with us in Newcastle. And Coach Brown or I okay, but we're not going to have the final say-so just because it's Newcastle's game and they have to be in agreement with that as well. So we're waiting to hear from that, and that'd be a cool experience for the kids.
It'd be very good, and it showcased a couple good rivals there.
Well, you'd like to think they might make a little money off of us. Typically when we play each other, there's a fairly good following.
And what's the date of that?
Whatever the date the Newcastle game is, I don't know that off the top of my head. You got that there, December. You're over there somewhere saying
in the boys here.
In the boys.
In the varsity. It's after January 11th.
Yeah, January 11th. I think that was the date. So
good place to go in the middle of January.
Might be dry by then. We got it today, so maybe we're just going to flip-flop.
Well,
went out to look at softball field day in the snow. So.
Can you explain this weather we're having?
It's Indiana.
Oh, okay.
About all you have to say, isn't it?
Wait a few minutes and it'll change.
Change your mind.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you've got this on your list to talk about, but you put up lights out there at the softball field. What about construction at the field house? I know that that's been delayed a little bit, that originally was supposed to be done by the end of the year, but construction projects usually don't end on time anyway.
No, they don't?
No.
It's scheduled right now for February of 20. So they do have the cement poured on the inside, and they're working on the inside, putting some conduit going up. And I don't have a hard hat, so I don't get to go out there very often. Well, it's in, but it's not completely in. So most of the side's up, but they still have obviously a big hole in the wall where they got to get their equipment in and out, and they don't have the vents in the end. And so, but it's under roof, so the cement on the inside is dry. Okay. So that's a good thing. So, and then today and yesterday or this past weekend, the lights on the softball field went up, so we'll be able to play this summer and hopefully do a little bit of doubleheaders with our varsity and JV if I can work that out with our opponents. And if not, we'll bump our varsity start time back a little bit and get the lights on for some softball games this spring. So, and we're going to host a sectional here next year, so we need to have lights, and it'll be a good opportunity for our fans to come out and see the field and watch some quality softball. Our conference, which is our sectional opponents, has some really good softball teams in it. So
that's like our opponents, and same as what it is in boys and girls basketball then?
Volleyball, boys and girls basketball, softball, and baseball are all the same. So only ones that are different in football, obviously, because we're in 4A and not 3A. And then soccer, we're not South. The girls are actually 2A in soccer, and we're 3A in soccer. But we still went to Mount Vernon in that direction this year. So 2 years from now, we can be changed again. So
yeah,
for a year and a half.
And being kind of being on the bubble, enrollment-wise, bouncing back and forth between two classes, that's got to make it kind of tough.
And well, you never really know where you're at.
Right.
So.
Because during regular season, you like to schedule your opponents that you may face during tournament time, right?
Well, that's been some of the questions. Why didn't we drop like Pendleton Heights since we're not 4A, and why didn't we drop Mount Vernon? Well, 2 years from now, we might be back in those, and we need to play those people.
Sure.
And even if we're not, we still need to play them because they're quality opponents.
Right,
and
exactly.
We need to play people that are going to make us better, not in just in all of our sports, And we've had, why do I have to play Newcastle? Well, you got to play Newcastle on volleyball or softball or where it is because we need to. Newcastle and Richmond are going to be on our schedule for as long as we can.
Half hour away too.
Well, those are our two big rivals. We're not going to. We're not going to drop them off our schedule in any sport, unless they want to get rid of me. But
basketball, we're 3A. How close are we to 4A? Are we?
2 schools.
Okay.
They're the second largest 3A school. So
okay.
You just don't know how many schools are coming in. There's at least four schools that have applied for membership, but it's a 4-year waiting period, and they got to go through the steps, and they're all in a different process. So there'll be schools that'll come in next year as charter members. So once those schools start coming in, the lines start to change.
Who's the school? What's the school ahead of us?
Kankakee Valley, which is up in the northwest area.
I never heard of them, but they're legit, are they?
They're legit.
They've been around a while.
I've been to there at school a couple times.
Have you?
Yes. When I taught at Knox High School, they're pretty close to Knox.
Last week's program, we talked with Coach Brown and brought up the college is extending the three-point line. And since you're on the ice, hey, do you hear any rumors that they may fool around with the high school?
No talks whatsoever.
Okay. So
that stretches some of our little youngsters already. So,
that's true.
And some shoot out there and don't need to be shooting out there, especially at younger ages, because it kind of develops bad habits in your shooting technique. So that's my own personal opinion. But no talks.
It'd have to be a national thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
National
they
team.
could pilot it, and then they can run tests, and then see if anybody likes it, or how well it went. But they're not afraid to pilot things at a time, and that'll come from the National Federation now,
Right.
instead of the IHSA. So
There's
the play clock in football was a 3-year experiment that kind of was spearheaded by Indiana, and we kept the data, and then now everybody has the
running clock.
the running clock and the rules with the
Mercy
40
rule.
and the 40-second and the 25-second and the mercy rule. So
Yeah.
I was watching a game on TV the other night. I forget what it was, but they had speaking of the 3-point line, they had the one where we have it in high school right now. Then they had last year's college line, and then they had the new college line. Well, I think that would, and they're just so far apart. But I think as a player, you're looking up, you're aware of peripheral vision of a line below you, but I think that could be very confusing. And they were different colors, but they weren't that much different.
yeah, I was somewhere Saturday, and somebody pulled something. I think it was Matt Martin, AD at Knightstown. He pulled something up. There were 4 3-point lines on the court he was looking at. So I thought it was an NBA court that had other
Yeah, and it could have
things going on.
That may have been the same one. I said 3, but it could have been 4.
Yeah, so too many for me.
It's 20.
19.6.
Okay, almost 20 feet. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if there's room to extend in the corners.
Well, you see how tight it is in the NBA. I mean, those guys in that very far corner barely can get their feet in between the out-of-bounds line and the...
Right.
As big as their feet are.
And they take a little half step backwards and they step out of bounds. So, but I hope they don't really extend it. I mean, that's a tough shot consistently. I mean, it's getting more into people's repertoire because it's been around long enough that they practice more often. But that, like I said earlier, doesn't mean everybody ought to be shooting it, because as a coach said, sometimes there's a reason why you're open at the 3-point line.
Yes.
Because they scouted you. So,
Right.
but
I like the old-fashioned 3-point.
that's kind of a lost art. I mean, that physicality and being able to finish around the basket and kind of changed the game when the 3-point line went a little bit. So,
Yeah, there are
everything
games
out.
that doesn't occur at all anymore.
Right.
3-point line.
no, I think we had one. Someone said Miranda Cranfield had one this weekend and finished the 3-point plays. You don't see them very often anymore.
Yeah. Kid being fouled on a shot, and then he gets fouled.
Well, nobody fouls anymore, Sam. As you see their expressions, they're all like, I didn't touch him.
What, me?
That's from the NBA as well.
I still think they'll have to hold their hand up when they commit a foul, but I
It
guess
used to be a technical foul if you didn't hold your hand up.
yeah, I think it's I
A
feel
little
like
humbling at times.
an embarrassing minute, I'm sure, but they worry about a kid having his shirt tucked in and everything. I would think they could go to that.
And you never know.
No, you never.
People suggest rules and they'll vote on them. We'll see where it goes.
Anything out of that? Anything that we should know about? That's
No, not that I can think of that's coming up. So everything's moving forward. And, we're going to host the boys basketball sectional here in February or 1st of March. And
Great
then
news.
if we win, we were in the running for the regional, but got assigned to Washington High School. So in my opinion, after we win the sectional, we'll be making a little 3-hour jaunt to the Hatchet House in Washington.
Washington, is that
I always wanted to go to the Hatchet House.
If you've never been there, it's a fine building. So
on the river someplace?
nope, it's in Washington, Indiana, between here and Evansville, between Bedford and Evansville, between Bloomington and Evansville. So
It's
about
down
3-hour
there.
drive.
It's down there. Yeah.
where the Zellers are from. If you're familiar with the Zellers, they all played at Washington High School. And Boucher, who played at
A lot of tradition down there.
IU, played at Washington.
Is it a big gym?
Yeah. I can't tell you the exact size. It's probably
That's-
bigger than the bowl if I had to guess seat-wise.
Yeah, that enters into the selections by the committee. Yeah. Well, girls basketball, again, a reminder, Saturday at noon at CHS for the JV game. And
Come out and support the Lady Spartans. I know we not won, but they're making great progress.
Coach, thanks as always, Brent, for joining us here on the show. And everybody, thanks for watching this edition of the Spartan Report here on TV3. Have a nice evening.